So I'm having a hard time with the terminology and the mindset about who we're offering what services to. So, I mean, if this is youth, we're asking for lesbian youth to come for services of some sort. And I talked about this a little bit the other day. If you're bisexual, please come for something. I don't understand what we're doing here. I don't know how far we want to get into this today. If you're Native American and have sexual identity issues, you're grouped into the same group of some sort. So, I mean, there's terminology here is really going to be hard for me. And as I say, Commissioner Chang mentioned, I was talking about somebody said, well, is there training that needs to be done here? That's fine. Please define the health department service that we're fixing something that's broken. I really don't understand it.
So, Commissioner, we are looking at doing a better job making sure that these folks are represented both in services by ensuring that we've helped make those communities aware of services that are available to them. Sometimes with in particular, our Spanish-speaking community, there can be issues with access just because of awareness of the services availability and how to access those services. I think with our LGBTQ community, it is often a question of whether or not they're feeling safe when they're being served and feeling like their needs are understood and being met. So this is not a one-size-fits-all at all. And you're right, the terms can be difficult because they amount to labels. And what we're really talking about is just trying to do a better job ensuring that we're reaching out to these communities, making sure that services feel welcoming and comfortable for people who may enter services using a different language, from a different culture, from a different life experience, making sure that staff are trained to understand and anticipate needs that might be different than the needs of the families they might serve from the general population or the dominant population, whichever term you want to use. And making sure that in our decision-making boards, we have broad representation of the community and not just a limited section of the community that looks and talks just like I might.
If I might add, I mean, to answer your question from a health services standpoint, Commissioner, what we know is that 30% of the LGBTQ community are more likely to experience a mental health crisis if they don't have available supports. So that puts us at risk of higher hospitalizations, higher emergency room visits, higher crisis supports. And by making sure that we include all of our communities in services, we have the ability to act sooner, do some support that limits those hospitalizations by just being available, offering groups, offering mental health services. So it's not to say that everybody in the LGBTQ community will need this service. It's identifying those that do and making sure they know about it.
Yeah, I just don't like how the terminology is being used. I don't understand how this seems to be separating community instead of welcoming. So if we're providing a health service for anybody that has health needs, the terminology probably shouldn't even be used. So that's, yeah, I'm just kind of over it. I'm over the terminology.
Yeah, it's a fair point. This grant is specifically to target those specific areas and expand our outreach. And I do hear what you're saying, but this is additional funding to make sure that we already do that for the populist group. This is really looking at how we enhance for the minority group.
So was the grant, Oregon Health Authority's grant, down the path with, this terminology? I mean, I guess maybe that's the path, so I'm not willing to apply for a grant with all these terms in it like that. Either we're providing health services for anybody in our community that needs it and getting the right service for the right person, or we're not.
Yes, sir. The grant is specific to BIPOC, Native American, and LGBTQ Latinx communities.
Great.
I have a question then. What percentage of our population does this apply to?
We're roughly within that. I believe it's between 8 and 10%. And though I know we're lower in our outreach in terms of Redmond and Lapine in those areas.
So let me just clarify. First of all, the grant purposes were focused specifically on communities that are particularly vulnerable by virtue of these statuses. Second, the services that are purchased under this grant can be provided to all people being served by the grants.